Hi. This is the third in my series of videos on neuroscience and spirituality. This video is about the new instruments of emotional healing and deep personal fulfillment that we now have at our disposal as a result of recent scientific discoveries. The most important tool is our understanding that all human emotions are neurological events. This means that things like rationality and emotional resilience are healthy neural connections. And things like self-doubt and emotional fragility are damaged neural connections. If something bad happened to you, some emotional injury, then it sits in your body as a damaged neural connection. I call it a broken neuron. And the same has to be said for other emotional disabilities, such as rigidity, insensitivity, coldness, emotional blindness. These are all damaged neural connections. So the key question that arises is, what, if anything, can repair damaged neural connections? How do you fix a broken neuron? The answer to that question comes from recent scientific work on the hemispheres of the brain. The left and right hemispheres of our brain have profoundly different ways of operating. They have profoundly different skill sets, and they do profoundly different jobs for us. And it is the right hemisphere of the brain that has the resources to repair broken neurons. Now, a third thing to note is that cultures make choices as to how they will use the hemispheres of the brain. And we live in a culture that is overwhelmingly dominated by left hemisphere preferences. So if we are going to get more access to the right hemisphere of the brain, then we're going to have to do some relearning. And the principal form that this kind of relearning takes is called self-observing.
Self-observing profoundly changes the way our brain works. It activates the self-regulating neocortical regions, which give us an incredible amount of control over our feelings. Every time we do this, our rationality and emotional resilience are strengthened.
But then, of course, when we get very good at self-observing, we become what is called self-aware.
But when we are self-aware, we can alter misplaced emotions because we control the thoughts that cause them. This is a neurochemical consequence of how memories become labeled when retrieved and how they are restored through protein synthesis.
to make this matter as clear as possible, it's really useful to have Athene's overview of the whole brain.
The human brain is a network of approximately 100 billion neurons. Different experiences create different neural connections which bring about different emotions. And depending on which neurons get stimulated, certain connections become stronger and more efficient, while others may become weaker. This is what's called neuroplasticity. Someone who trains to be a musician will create stronger neural connections that link the two hemispheres of the brain in order to be musically creative. Virtually any sort of talent or skill can be created through training. Rationality and emotional resilience work the same way. These are neural connections that can be strengthened. Whatever you are doing at any time, you are physically modifying your brain to become better at it. Since this is such a foundational mechanism of the brain, being self-aware can greatly enrich our life experience.
That's good. We now know a lot more about how the right hemisphere of the brain works than we did even 10 years ago. There's getting to be a considerable amount of writing on it. One of the best books is called The Master and His Emissary by the British psychiatrist Lane McGilchrist. Really good book. But some of the core features of the right hemisphere of the brain are extremely readily available in video format. The neuroanatomist Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor gave a TED lecture in 2008 that has been viewed more than 10 million times so far, and its focus its central focus is pretty much on the hemispheres of the brain, and especially the right hemisphere.
Our right hemisphere, it thinks in pictures, and it learns kinesthetically through the movement of our bodies. Information in the form of energy streams in simultaneously through all of our sensory systems, and then it explodes into this enormous collage of what this present moment looks like, what this present moment smells like and tastes like, what it feels like, and what it sounds like.
As Dr. Taylor describes her experience of having a stroke, she's proceeding along step by step. And at one point, she goes into extensive detail about our right hemisphere's access to all of the neural connections in our body.
And it was as though my consciousness had shifted away from my normal perception of reality, where I'm the person on the machine having the experience, to some esoteric space where I'm witnessing myself having this experience. And it was all very peculiar, and my headache was just getting worse, so I get off the machine, and I'm walking across my living room floor, and I realize that everything inside of my body has slowed way down. And every step is very rigid and very deliberate. There's no fluidity to my pace, and there's this constriction in my area of perception, so I'm just focused on internal systems. And I'm standing in my bathroom getting ready to step into the shower, and I could actually hear the dialogue inside of my body. I heard a little voice saying, okay, you muscles, you got to contract, and you muscles, you relax. And then I lost my balance, and I'm propped up against the wall. And I looked down at my arm, and I realized that I can no longer define the boundaries of my body. I can't define where I begin and where I end, because the atoms and the molecules of my arm blended with the atoms and molecules of the wall. And all I could detect was this energy. And I'm asking myself, what is wrong with me? What is going on? And in that moment, my brain chatter, my left hemisphere brain chatter, went totally silent. Just like someone took a remote control and pushed the mute button. Total silence.
This extremely detailed management of sensory activity and the ability to detect molecules might seem like some sort of weird science fiction to us, but the implication of Taylor's experience is that this is merely standard everyday practice for the right hemisphere. It is just what it normally does. And this is always going on in the background of our conscious left brain operations, our day-to-day thinking. And this is what has profound implications for emotional healing.
Imagine what it would be like to be totally disconnected from your brain chatter that connects you to the external world. So here I am in this space, and my job and any stress related to my job, it was gone. And I felt lighter in my body. And imagine all of the relationships in the external world and any stressors related to any of those, they were gone. And I felt this sense of peacefulness. And imagine what it would feel like to lose 37 years of emotional baggage. Oh, I felt euphoria. Euphoria. It was beautiful there.
Of course, when the surgeons removed the blood clot from her left hemisphere, all of those stressors and emotional baggage came right back again. But it is very interesting to note that they live in the left hemisphere. When it comes to the purposes of emotional healing, we don't want to shut down the left hemisphere completely. We just want to slow it down, dampen its activity to the point where it can make conscious use of the powerful resources of the right hemisphere, because those are the resources that can repair the damaged neurons that produce painful emotions. Now, the classic technique for doing this is the cease the chatter of the mind technique that was invented by Gautama about 2,500 years ago. So the program is slow down your mind, relax, consciously reduce all the tension that you can, and stop thinking. And also stop memory. Memory is a left brain activity, and memory does not heal past injuries. In fact, it has a tendency to reenact them. So the program is to allow that here and now awareness of all the sensory activities going on in our body that the right hemisphere of the brain is capable of, and let that activity be the focus of all of our attention. Now, damaged neurons have a tendency to heal themselves when you pay attention to them, when you let the right hemisphere of the brain find them. When they heal, there can be a release of primary emotions. This is because your neuroprocessors will need to reorganize themselves when a neural connection that was formerly damaged is repaired. Tearing up, crying, euphoria, these are common occurrences. But once the body has repaired the broken neurons, they stay repaired. The body returns to its normal functioning, only without the anxiety that was there before. Now, in addition to emotional healing, the special talents of the right hemisphere of the brain are the foundation of knowing who you truly are. This is what Buddhists sometimes call sanity, with a capital S. When you realize that everything is just a passing into the vast universe, then you become very strong and your existence becomes very meaningful. The reason why this can happen is because realization is a right hemisphere experience. It's an awareness of your connection with everything. And this operates at the molecular level. Moreover, it is the normal, natural activity of the right hemisphere. So it's really a very useful thing to get access to. By the way, one of the things it does is it removes all fear of old age and death from your life entirely. Now, once you have this knowledge of who you really are, it runs in a background mode while your left hemisphere guides you through the activities of everyday life. You also use it in a more conscious way when you need to make important decisions, and also in those moments of emotional confusion that come up from time to time.
Right here, right now, I can step into the consciousness of my right hemisphere where I am the life force power of the universe. I am the life force power of the 50 trillion beautiful molecular geniuses that make up my form, at one with all that is.
The alternative to using the practice of self-observing is, of course, quite simply not being self-aware.
When we are not being self-aware, most of our thoughts and actions are impulsive. And the idea that we are randomly reacting and not making conscious choices is instinctively frustrating. The brain resolves this by creating explanations for our behavior and physically rewriting it into our memories through memory reconsolidation, making us believe that we were in control of our actions. This is also called backward rationalization, and it can leave most of our negative emotions unresolved and ready to be triggered at any time. They become a constant fuel to our confusion, as our brain will keep trying to justify why we behaved irrationally.
So, this is the new opportunity for emotional healing that recent science offers us. Of course, it's up to each one of us to take it from here. So, have a nice life.